Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another episode of EOTT, Everything on the Table with me, Jimmy James. I have a brother with us today, one of my digital comrades, Harry Matadeen. How are you, Harry?
I'm very well, Jimmy. Good to be on today. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Awesome. No, thank you for coming along, brother. Me and you have had some fantastic conversations. So to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, Harry, you've kind of authored 3 books in the last kind of couple of years, is it fair to say?
Yeah, starting this year, I've been crazy. I want to do a little Holistic Health with Harry, which is my brand name, Holistic Health with Harry on YouTube, and I've just been doing it. I'm the plan, the works, bro. Another 3 more to come. I want to get them out very quickly, so very excited.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, I've been on your YouTube channel and it's prolific. There's loads of videos on this. I will put the link to that in the description box. So the 3 books you've got: Sunlight and Sun Gazing.
Yep.
That's a fascinating issue, which I'm learning more about every day. Aged urine, the discovery of the century, which is going to be a bit of a mind blow for a lot of people, and it's certainly, it's all new to me. I know bits and bobs, but it'll be good to kind of get into the depths of that. And then the negative ions, the grand unifier of life and health, that'll be that's kind of all new stuff to me, really. So tell us a little bit about your journey, Harry. Where did it all kind of start?
Yeah, bro. Well, I'm sure like many people, our journey starts with being broken by the system, because it's all well and good to say, oh, inspiration, but that's just not the reality for how I started. I wasn't inspired. I just got broken, depressed. Let's put it this way: at school, perhaps I was suicidal and very antisocial. And I went down that track. And ever since then, I've just got on a path to fixing myself, because I realized just through coincidence or synchronicity that it's possible to become, to change, to learn. I didn't know that for the longest time. As I was getting worse, no one told me there's such thing as growth, learning, becoming better. So I had to figure this shit out for myself. And yes, for 10 years this year, I've been doing emotional health and not physical health, actually. I only started doing the physical health 3 years ago. So the first thing I did was CBT to fix my mind, how I was thinking. Without too much focus on the physical health, and that worked wonders, because I had a mindset of, oh, everyone's against me, everyone hates me, and it's me against the world, no one cares, even though we're all human. I just somehow made this bullshit story. So I spent the best part of 7 years working on my mindset, and then 3 years ago, by no coincidence, I was open-minded from the start. It was like reading at that point. I read a book by Martha Christie called Your Own Perfect Medicine. I wonder if you know what your own perfect medicine might be, bro.
Well, I'm trying a bit of everything, to be honest. So, between the intermittent fasting, the fasting, doing the 1 meal a day, I've been getting a bit of sun gazing since 2017 as much as I can. So I still eat rubbish. I still consume rubbish, not as much as I used to, but it's an ongoing kind of thing. So I try and do as much as I can, but I kind of try and do a little bit of everything, really. What about yourself?
Yeah. So that book, Your Own Perfect Medicine, Martha Christie, which I started reading in the park 3 years ago. I found it on my Amazon results page, and it was like, oh, what is this? And it was about urine therapy. And of course, I came from a position, probably you did at the park, probably maybe some of your audience still is now, which is okay, that I was brought up somehow that urine is a waste product. And I read this book, and I was like, I could feel the layers of my brain getting exploding into, wow, that's a lie. It can't be a waste product, because the science in the 1930s, and in the book it goes into the science of 1940s, 1950s, studies on urea, on why urea is amazing, why there's like 7 anti-cancer elements in urine. They had it in this book. Anyway, point is, I read this in a week, really excited, and then of course I had to try it. And it's one of those things anyone can try, because we all pee. So I tried it, and I was on tap water, and I thought bottled spring water also was good, but I was mostly tap water. I drank the pee, and wow, since that day, my life has never really been the same again, in terms of just like where I find myself now. Now I've found that I'm really obsessed with health. I've gone so much deeper, and it's all because of something I produce internally that the system tells us, just like sun gazing, the system tells us these are all waste products. The system tells you it's a waste product, in my opinion, for a reason, to keep you unhealthy. The system tells you sunlight is dangerous, sun creams, cancers are bad, and sun gazing, don't look at the sun because it makes you blind, which I can only speak from my experience and my friend's experience. Everyone I've spoken to does sun gazing, gets benefits, and same with me. I should be blind. I've started doing it. The amount of hours I've tracked, I'm sure the same with you. We shouldn't be able to see each other right now on the screen, but why are we seeing each other? And why does it make me feel so good? So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. I saw something which was new to me, which was essentially, we understand about plants, chlorophyll, and photosynthesis, but is there actually a kind of analogous cell system within the human body, right, that does the same thing as plants do through photosynthesis?
Yeah.
So then it kind
I
of
think
makes
so.
sense.
Yeah.
Everything kind of comes from light. So obviously, we're not talking about staring at the midday sun directly. We're talking kind of. I chatted with Mark Steele the other day, and he was talking about wearing sunglasses, shades for protection from all the electromagnetic interference and stuff. And I said, oh yeah, okay, I take that on board. But what I've discovered quite recently was the whole thing about not wearing sunglasses because it blocks the rays of the sun coming into your eyes. It disrupts the hormonal processes, and therefore
right?
yes,
Yes.
indeed, and you don't get the full benefits then from the sun. When I got into it initially, the first, it was the kind of December 2017, just literally for as long as I was locked up, actually. I was sun gazing out the window from my solitary confinement cell. But yeah, I was just, there wasn't much else to do, to be fair, Harry. So I was, just sun gazing. And I did feel that, I was having a lot more kind of thoughts and things coming through, and I can't put two and two together, but I did get a benefit from it. So as often as I can, I do try to take the time. I don't do it every day, I must say, but I do at least a good few times a week. If I'm there and it's the right time, and I can't, because where I'm living, it's so urban, is the buildings in the way and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I
Plus, we're in
do.
the UK. We're both in the UK though, so that's a problem because the sun isn't out. I mean, this week's been great, but I mean,
Yeah.
today, if you can stay over here, it's called cloudy and it's just back to normal. So especially in this country, it's really hard to sun gaze because the sun's not out.
Yeah, and obviously this goes back to the very, very original and ancient kind of traditional religions, if you want to call them that. But it was sun worship. Everything comes from sun worship, which makes sense. So there's lots of information out there that kind of backs all this up. But a bit more.
Definitely. Just a quick one on the stargazing I figured out kind of recently. Basically, for people that want to know why to do it and the benefits. Now, it does work on the physical body, and we know the brain is part of the physical body, but what it mainly works on is the brain. And because the eyes are an extension of the brain, not only is it resetting your hormonal rhythm, not only is it making you deep breathe, because as soon as you sun gaze, you deep breathe, but more than that, I look at it as brainwave training. So think about what we know about Joey Dispenza's work. How we want to be tackling not high beta, we want to be into low beta. In meditation, we want to go meditation journey, we want to go into alpha, we want to go into theta and delta. Now, what we do, we sun gaze, and actually, I advise people to do it in the midday sun, start slowly too. I started in sun gaze, but it's okay to be different. But the point is, any sun gaze, it affects the brainwave state. So your brain's awake state, so it's tapping into low beta, alpha, theta, delta, and that's why the powers that be don't want it, because effectively it's like meditating, but with your eyes open. It's like a very strong, powerful meditation session. And that means when these brainwaves get lower, they get coherent, they start working together. And that's why me and you get insight from it, because our brain's working, it's switched on, it's becoming like a meditation. And then our brain hemisphere's in balance. And of course, the Matrix doesn't want our brain hemispheres in balance. That's why they teach us bullshit school. That's why they teach us left brain. We take back our power and start lighting up, if you want to put in simplest terms, the right brain when we do sun gazing. And that's why it does affect the physical, but it's more to do with the brain. The Matrix just wants to fuck our brains up, and that's what sun gazing does. Fixes us.
Nice. When I first started, I couldn't look directly, so I was having to do one eye for a second, the other eye for a second, the other eye for a second, and alternate, and that allowed me to do it for a lot longer. And as I said, I did definitely have a discernible kind of effect from it, which is why I've kind of continued with it. But circling back to the urine therapy, as far as we know, pee is disgusting. It's a waste product. This is what this is certainly my understanding, that pee is a waste product, is disgusting and stinks. So what was your journey of discovery of learning then to discern the difference between kind of obviously fecal matter when we poo, it's waste food. We know this is waste, but actually it does seem to be, from what I've read, and I've not gone too fully into depth with it, I get into all different bits and bobs, but I have read that the kidneys and the filtration system, it is actually, if you are eating and living healthily and only putting, good stuff in, then this is a viable thing. And there are other people who I know, random different people, unconnected to each other, who also do the same thing. So there's something to it. So what did you find out then that changed your thinking with regards to how you perceive urine?
Well, literally, when I read that book and when I tried it, I was convinced from the dot one. Then I was excited because I know I pee every day. But then the next step I did was I was alone in a world where everyone's telling me urine is a waste, and I felt alone. So what I did was I went on Facebook and I typed in urine therapy on the search, and then I added myself to loads of group, and that was the start. Then I started learning about urine therapy because I was indoctrinated, what the kidneys produce the waste. And then from talking, and still to this day, by the way, I'm still strong on the urine therapy groups. I learned from other people why the back end is the waste and the forward end is not. And if you go deeper, if you look into religious texts, you go and Google Shivambu Kalpa, it seems like the Indians knew 2,000 years ago that it was medicine. If you also look at fountains of boys peeing in a fountain, that's not a joke. Think about that. There's ornaments that are really old, boys peeing in fountains. That's a clue that it's a fountain of youth and not a waste product. Why would they joke about something like that? It's not a joke. There's clues in nature that we need to look at that it's not. And plus, as well, you'll be aware of this, Jimmy. The fact that we grow up in our urine. I know people don't like to hear this sometimes, but it's an actual fact. It was your mum's for the first couple of months, then it changes as soon as you get a willy or your functions and sexual organs working. For a woman, it gets a couple of months and that's it. It becomes for the women's stuff now. That you start peeing for the last 6-7 months, you're breathing in, not just through your mouth, through your nose, and it can't be a waste product because I'll be dead. And not only that, it's not even not a waste product. It seems to make the baby come out give the baby the best chance of life possible. So there's something in it that is powerful. Now, what is it? And not only what is it, we're still debating. We know some of the stuff, we don't know all of it, but what's the most powerful? I don't know. I could tell you, or you can have an opinion, but because there's no money invested in it fully, we're still having to learn from Facebook groups and people like myself and you, and that's why it's not in the papers. And there's no big study on it because, wow, if there was, I think the diseases would end tomorrow, right? Sun gazing, urine therapy, or stuff like that.
Well, this is it. You say that, and many of us will be familiar with the shenanigans of the pharmaceutical companies and how, they've just took us really away from nature, and everything's kind of out there in nature. So just to circle back quickly, are you saying then that in the womb, in the placenta, inside the placenta, that we are actually urinating and cycling around as the baby inside? Is that what happens?
100%. What we call looping in the communities, we're drinking it because your amniotic fluid, the mum's amniotic fluid, for the first few months before you have urinary system developed, is her urine, most of it predominantly, and then it becomes your urine and the baby's urine. And not only that, it's essential to form the lungs. Science has proven it's essential, and the baby drinks it, but it also takes it in through the nose. So it's taking it in all forms. And not only that, that's why, if you want to know why a baby, I believe, I might be wrong on this, I believe a baby comes out with pure skin. And the reason why it comes out with pure skin is because that urine is floating in, has got high content of urea. And certainly from my own experience and my friends, when you put it on your skin, your own adult urine, it seems to make your face smooth. You seem to look much younger. So we can only conclude that one of the reasons why a baby's bottom skin is so pure is because of this urine. It makes the skin like encased in medicine for 9 months. Do you think that might be giving the baby the best chance of life? Is nature wrong?
Well, it makes sense. I've been seeing a lot of stuff recently in the last couple of years. So one of them was with regards to when the baby comes out. I've never been there and seen this live, but I've seen kind of pictures where it's kind of coated in a kind of, it almost looks like lard, kind of this substance, and they're not supposed to take it off. They kind of clean the baby up, when in actuality they should really be rubbing that in, as it's got all kind of, natural, beneficial, hormones or whatever you want to call it, I'm not too sure. But and the other one was the placenta. They cut the umbilical cord straight away, when in actual fact, apparently you're supposed to leave the baby with the placenta for however long after the birth for all the goodness to go in. So we do know there's some shenanigans with regards to the NHS and some of the practices they do and all the rest of it. Not to say, I know there are fantastic people working in these industries. I'm not saying any different, but it does seem to be that a lot of this stuff, it's indoctrination. So as you say, from a personal experience, your understanding is, I'll just talk from my own experience, staring at the sun is bad for you, do not do it. And then actually having done it, having that personal experience of feeling, the benefits of it, you go, oh, okay. And that's the same, I imagine, with the urine therapy. I've not done it. I did mention to you tonight a little story of the only time I've actually I have done it once, and it was disgusting. That's probably because I'm disgusting. Probably because I'm disgusting, right? But in prison, it was the whole, you get drug tested, and the only way to get around the drug test is to drink so much water that your urine is so diluted there aren't any of the active metabolites to give a positive sample. So I was showing the guys, I said, oh, I'll show you. And I peed in a cup and I drank it. So it's just water. If you drink so much, it comes out. That's a little bit different. When you're diluting it, obviously, that's a different kettle of fish. So with regards to, you're saying about snorting urine. I've snorted a few different things in my time, Harry. I don't mind telling you. I recommend anyone else do the same. But, I think snorting urine, this guy's crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean,
this is your own life
yeah,
experience, Harry. If you're getting the benefits from it, no one can take that away from you. No one can, so you can take in whatever you want, cognitive dissonance and all the rest. And I must say, I do still have a bit of my own. I'm like, I'm not, because I've not done the practice, I've felt the benefits. And you know how open-minded I am, Harry. I'm a very open-minded person. Even still, I'm a bit, but I'm open, so I like to know about this stuff. But I think if I was to fully adapt my lifestyle where I was eating and being extremely healthy, then I think it's probably something that I could kind of try and have a go of, because it's not just the drinking of it. You're saying about even enema wouldn't be the right word, would it? Or would it?
Yeah, up the bum, enema. Yes, it would.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who do kind of different health kind of enemas and bits and bobs. So, the thought of ingesting it orally is like, ugh. But if you're up for an enema, then that completely bypasses that. So it's like, if you're willing to try
it gets worse though. It gets worse than what you just said, because then my first book on aged urine is even more than that. But it's what you just said. That I think it's interesting. Like, once you experience the benefits, that's the only reason why I do it.
Yeah.
Once you experience the benefits, it becomes easy to do.
Yeah.
And when it's if it's subtle, right? If it's subtle difference, I probably wouldn't be motivated. I probably wouldn't be obsessed with urine therapy. And fresh urine might be, but the next level is where I wrote the first book on, and the only book to write exclusively on that subject to date. I'm hoping there's gonna be loads coming out. There will be as science gets more crazy. But yeah, the point is that aged urine, which is basically just your urine sitting in a bottle, contained in any vessel, even a plastic bottle, although it's not ideal, becomes more powerful. And there's reasons behind that, which is why I wrote the third book on negative ions. One of them is that negative ion count becomes really high. Do you aware of Jared Pollock's fourth state of water? Are you aware of this one? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I can't say that I'm overly familiar with it. Go on, tell us about it.
Well, Jared Pollock's fourth days of water is really highly negatively charged, and the negative ions cluster. It basically, your entire water is 4 phases of water. However, an unhealthy person would have a very low structured water, whereas a healthier you get, the higher structured water. Well, basically, aged urine, I figured this out. Aged urine is the most structured, uber structured Jared Pollock's 4 phases of water, and tying in all the. Of course, Jared Pollock would not say that because he's not into urine therapy. He's not aware of it. He probably thinks it's a waste product like everyone else, but it's just very powerful medicine. And what it does is it pulls deep. So it gives you a detox, like fasting. When we fast for like a couple of days on water, and our body's so pure. Well, same with the aged urine. When we drink it and it's a couple of weeks old, the older it gets, you drink it and it's like it purifies the body. It goes like a charge. It gets attracted to everything that shouldn't be in your body. That's the best way to describe it. Very strong magnet, not like a weak magnet. Like maybe fresh urine is a weak magnet, still good for you, but the aged urine is a very strong magnet. It goes in there and it just pulls the crap out of everything and sends it out of your body, and that's why it heals.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. I bought a distiller back in 2017 because I knew the tap water was garbage. Oh my! When I put, I think it's a 4-liter distiller, and I think I put 4 lots through it, so 16 liters. And the stuff that was left behind, I was like, oh, what is this? There was even a blob of silver and a blob of gold. Perhaps it was mercury, I'm not sure. But the point I wanted to make on that was this whole thing of structured water. When you're drinking the water out of the tap, this is just my understanding of it from what I've learned, because it's already so super saturated with just garbage, basically shit. It's going in, and it doesn't then have the ability to draw out anything as it's going through the body because it's already totally saturated, right? Yeah. Which that makes sense to me. So the distilled water is negatively charged, which pulls then, the undesirable, minerals and elements out of your body when you drink it. So then, if aged urine works in the same way, how does the looping process work there? So, for example, if I'm going to use some aged urine, I'm going to drink it. That is super structured. It's going to pull a load of, undesirable stuff out of my body.
Yes.
How does that work then with looping it again? Because that stuff then is within the aged urine. Do you get what I'm coming from?
I do, kind of. Let me try and answer from what I said. So fresh urine is very powerful. Distilled water is very powerful too. By the way, I still drink distilled water. I drank some today. I've not been on aged urine for 2 days or 3 days. So I use it as a medicine. Now, distilled water definitely pulls, bro. Like you said, it's got it's clean and pure, so it can pull. However, it's like, and fresh urine too, they're the same, but it's like a weak magnet. So what I mean by weak magnet is it will pull stuff from your bloodstream, which, by the way, still causes disease like arthritis and stuff, you know, poison. But what it won't do compared to aged urine is it won't pull deeper than that. So I'm talking about deep levels of childhood toxicity that have been stuck. They got stuck in the fascia, the muscles, the cells beyond the bloodstream. So when I say super uber structured aged urine, that's what I mean. I mean that fresh urine and distilled water is just going to remove stuff you've eaten today and maybe yesterday, unless you fast with it. And then it gets complicated, because if you fast with distilled water and fresh urine, of course, it'd be a bit of better magnet. But with aged urine, what you can do is you don't even need to fast, and it will still have such tremendous pulling power. So you can still eat even crap food. I shouldn't say this, but sometimes crap food. And it pulls far deeper just by virtue of one of the mechanisms being it's alkaline, which holds an uber structure distilled water. It's got a really strong magnetizing effect to it. And it's just so fucking powerful.
So going back to the question, then perhaps I need to explain myself a little bit further. What I'm asking is, so once you've done that, you've drunk the aged urine and it's deeply pulled out a lot of stuff. Is that stuff then coming out with the next lot of urine, or is it then being transferred within the body into the fecal waste? Do you get what I mean?
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to try and answer you as best to my knowledge. And we still
that's all we want. Yeah.
Well, one thing I do know when I drink aged urine is that, I mean, I think you can agree with me this. Like they say, science says 70% of toxins come out in the breath, right? And also one thing you may agree with me too is that the less breaths per minute we take, the more healthier we are. The people who get stressed and acidy and have diseases, all heavy breathers, they snore, they're breathing too much. Now, when we drink aged urine, what happens immediately, or take it up the bum or whatever way we get it in, you'll notice your breath change. Your breath will change to super slow. It's a very shocking phenomenon. Like everyone reports it. As soon as you start drinking it and you think you're like quite a slow breather, your breath will just like disappear into nothing. You're like, whoa, where'd that come from? Now, so by me saying this, what I'm saying to you is that one of the mechanisms now from which it's going to pull toxins out is through the breath, because it slows the breath down. And when the breath slows down, now the 70% of toxins coming out in the breath really comes out. It actually goes to like much higher, because the quicker you breathe, the less toxins you can get out, the less carbon dioxide, all that stuff. So one of the mechanisms which, now to answer your question, I think yes, possibly it might come out in the urine. So these are all hypotheticals. I'm just not too sure of. Does it come out in the urine? Probably. Does it come out in the poo? Yeah, probably. Does it come out in the skin? Because the skin also takes toxins out. You know, that removes it. Yep. Breath, definitely. I'll tell you a story quickly though. One lady called Monica, who's very big in the aged urine community, she drank some aged urine once, I think one day into a fast, 24 hours. And what happened was she noticed on her breath childhood drug she'd taken like when she was a kid. She's like an adult now, 40, 50 years old. So she could literally taste it on her tongue. So what the aged urine had done is it had pulled it out so deep, now the toxins from her childhood had come out of the mouth and the tongue through the breath. And that's just one clue that fucking hell, that it's pulling.
I see. So you have kind of, so what I'm saying then is the aged urine goes in, draws the toxins out, and then they're expelled potentially or possibly through the other means, sweat, breath, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That kind of makes a bit more sense to me. Yeah. And it's interesting what you're saying there about the lady expelling, substances that she'd ingested many years prior. I watched this video of a guy who had colonic irrigation, and he'd been a vegetarian for 20 years. And when they analysed what came out of him, there was a chunk of meat in there.
Whoa.
So where was that? Was that sitting in one of the folds within the
must have been.
large or small intestine? It was in there somewhere. Yeah. Just to think, like, God, the body can. It's like, do you remember the old thing they used to say? Oh, if you swallow chewing gum, it stays inside you for 7 years, and all this kind of stuff. It's surprising, I think, as you say, what the body can hold on to.
Yeah.
We know through science that they say that because all cells renew themselves within like, I think it's 7 years maybe, that every single cell will have renewed itself. So you are essentially and technically a new person, or a different person rather. Yeah. So, excuse me, discovering things like these later on in life have the potential to enable us to not only step away from, you know, what are now considered just normal treatments and kind of medicines. Well, they're not medicines, are they really? That everything's just been complicated so much, isn't it, with regards to, you know, money interest, people wanting to make profits off stuff, when in reality, you know, I've mentioned it a couple of times about, you know, you chatted to a fellow about fruitarianism, you know, just living on eating fruit. And, you know, you can even take that to the next level of breatharianism, which is just such an alien concept. But, you know, I read about it in the holographic universe. There are people out there, and maybe they are uber yogis and all this kind of stuff. But if one human being can do it, then any human being can do it. That's my opinion on kind of, on most stuff. So what can you tell us about, I've seen the relationship between aged urine and ormus. Is that right?
I think so. I'm not too specialist on idea, but I always go with, if I don't know something, I go with the magic, because I tend to feel that the body is more magical than we ever give it credit for. And even when we understand the body's magical, we're still basing it on our concepts of the senses, which, when in reality, what we're talking about is like a one consciousness creation that is beyond even our concept within duality of how amazing the body is. So I'm definitely down with the idea that ormus and all the magic. In fact, I think there's a lot more in urine, not just ormus. There's a lot more vitamins and minerals and hormones and enzymes that haven't been discovered. I mean, that one guy says, and I'm totally agree with him, there's thousands that need to be discovered, thousands of amazing beneficial substances. So when someone tells me, oh, but there's glyphosate in my urine and all these things and metals coming out, and worry, well, you're just forgetting that urine is 99.9% magic, and it is because your body and your blood is magic. That's why urine therapy works, because your body and your blood is, and urine is just a byproduct of your blood. It's amazing. And I love the implication of that, which is also true. That, you know, so yes, in ormus, I don't know, do you know what the benefits of ormus are? I just love the term, and I don't know too much about it.
My dear brother Rog, Bal Spear, Rog Against the Machine, he knows about it. He's got a book of collated recipes that some lady has put together. She's put in the legwork and done the research. I'm not going to say I know much about it, because I don't. That's going to be an episode in and of itself, I think, to chat about ormus. But what I was thinking about was, you know, I just think of all sorts of madness. But if there is ormus within the urine, then could you, rather than having to drink it, could you not just
extract it somewhere?
Distill a few liters of urine, and then whatever's left over, that could be the active ingredient then, couldn't it?
That'd be interesting to do, because then you can check whether it's the ormus that's working. You'd have a good feel inside your body. Is it making a difference, this little substance versus the whole thing? Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Well, yeah, and you could also send it off for analysis. You know, you can send it off to a lab for analysis to see what is actually in there, because, you know, people want science. They want hard science and they want facts. And at the end of the day, I'm not all about that. I do like that, of course I do, but I am also about kind of people's just experiences on the ground. Things do not, to me anyway, they don't have to be verified by, you know, scientific scrutiny and peer-reviewed papers. If someone's having an experience, then they're having that experience, which brings us nicely onto, because a lot of it can be placebo. And I know you're very much into Joe Dispenza, and I kind of, my friend Cherry introduced me to Joe back in 2017. What a guy. I'm hoping to have a chat with him at some point in the future. That'll be amazing. What have you discovered in kind of getting to grips with Joe Dispenza's work?
Oh, mate, the reason why I'm so obsessed with Joe Dispenza is because now I'm into transcendental meditation, day 30. Now, listen, I've heard of meditation before, but I found it really hard in my life to do. And I dabbled with mindfulness, but I was not of the willpower and discipline to ever do it, even though I got benefits from it. But then, by a series of coincidences, as it works, 30 days ago, about 2 months ago, I read a book by Emily Fletcher called Accomplish Less, Stress More, or Stress Less, Accomplish More. And in it, her Ziva technique is effectively transcendental meditation. I was excited. I read the book and she explained it so simply. I was like, okay, I've got to try this. Now, from day one of transcendental meditation, I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is this so simple? And I was freaking out why basically the repetition of a mantra over and over is sending me into a deep bliss. A transcendence. And then, of course, I went into day 30 now. I went into a lot of research with Joey Dispenza, and then I connected the dots more, because Joey Dispenza talks about the quantum field and the four-state consciousness, Turiya, what the Vedics called. And that's the same thing that everyone accesses when you practice and you not get good, you just commit to a twice daily 20 minutes transcendental meditation. Within years and decades, people are experiencing, not every day, once or twice, but every day you get results and you get benefits from it. Sometimes people go into losing track of their body, mind. They become like what Joey Dispenza calls outside of body time. They become from, what is it? He says from somebody to nobody, and the quantum field. So in effect, everything that Joey Dispenza talks about, which I hope the audience knows about, if they don't look into his work, his interviews are amazing on Lewis Howes and all that stuff. But whatever he talks about, his way, I love him, but his way, he says it's hard work. So you've got to put 1 hour of gratitude. You've got to think gratitude thoughts for an hour. Now, that's not me. I struggle with that shit. But one thing I can do, and I wish to do more in the future, is get everybody doing, in my version of the easiest way to get into the quantum field and to access what he calls heart resonance, brain coherence, what I talked about earlier, getting the brain fields down. The easiest way is TM. And I'm pretty sure he knows about this, transcendental meditation. If he doesn't, that's cool. But transcendental meditation is the one way I've figured out to get into that fourth state of consciousness and to access the heart bliss. My heart starts beating really fast and beautifully, and my brainwaves start going down into what he talks about. Because he says in his book, Breaking Habit of Being Yourself, he says the goal of meditation is to go from, like a child goes from like 0 to 6 months, it's delta, then it goes to theta, and then it goes to alpha and to beta. And the goal of meditation, he says, is to do that, to go from beta, which we're at, stressed, high beta, to low beta to alpha. So we've got to become like a child again. And that's the key. And for me, transcendental meditation is the easiest. That's what I want to say. It's the easiest and effortless way, instead of doing like 1 hour of, gratitude, which doesn't come naturally to me. It's very worthy, don't get me wrong. Why doesn't everyone just repeat a mantra and get to that place much easier, like Joey Dispenza talks about? And from there, the quantum field, as you well know, is where the magic happens. And Jeremy, this goes way deeper, because I reckon, I resonate with what he says now, that physical health protocols we talked about, aged urine, sunlight, very powerful. But if you want to go the deepest level of healing, it's beyond that. It's at the quantum field. Joey Dispenza will say this. It's at the quantum field, because that's where the program, once you get into the program, then you can change your reality. And that's how people cure themselves at Joey Dispenza interview, the retreats from cancer, and then they take all this kind of crazy stuff goes on. So, yeah.
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, it is fascinating stuff, and it's Joe Dispenza's work as well as a lot of other stuff I'm seeing, like the likes of Wim Hof and all the rest of it. It's just showing us that our conventional understanding of all these different things is just so limited.
Yeah.
And incorrect a lot of the times. A lot of it is incorrect, and I think that's what puts limitations on us, because we limit ourselves through, the indoctrination of the schooling system and how we're taught that, how things work and how things are structured is not actually the case for a lot of stuff. I don't know whether he talks about it in terms of I don't know, Bruce Lipton kind of talks about the same kind of stuff about you are the placebo. So the placebo effect, regardless of what you think about it, is the body healing itself. So you go, well, that's just a placebo effect, right? Okay, but you're still missing the point that the body healed itself. So it's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating stuff. So I'd love to have a chat with him. As you said, with the transcendental meditation, I think I was introduced to that through Buddhist classes in prison, where we used to chant the Om Mani Padme Hum just over and over and over and it was because meditation, to just say that some people think, I used to think that it's just about sitting there and kind of doing what am I doing? Basically trying to find that gap between the thoughts. The thoughts come, push it away, or they talk about like the river and a leaf floats by, and then you just kind of bring it back, and then the gap between the thoughts coming in gets larger and larger and larger. Yeah. But then people like you and I, Harry, we're kind of trying to find the shortcuts, the cheats, the fast tracks. So rather than going and having to sit in a Tibetan monastery for 40 years to master the art of transcendental meditation, we use things like brain entrainment technology and binaural beats, and the flotation therapies at the sensory deprivation and all these kind of things. We've never had it easier. We've got all the information at our fingertips. We've got all the kind of technologies, as well as like the non-digital technologies, which Carl H. Smith talked about, like I said, the flotation tanks. It's all there for us, isn't it? So, and as you said, about bringing different people's approaches together. You read Emily's book, and Emily's got her kind of stance of how she's come to her understanding, and then we find different threads from other people, and you go, oh, hang on a minute, and you start pulling these threads together. It's really nice, isn't it? You go, oh, right, and as I always say, it's on the shoulders of giants. You know, a lot of people
We
have put
are.
in
We are.
exactly, yeah, a lot of legwork, and we're able to reap the benefits of it. So it's really nice. I think we're in on one kind of side of the coin, things have never been worse. The world is in a right old state. But on the other side of the coin, things have never been better either, have they? So it's
I mean,
about
I'm with that, but I understand both of them. But my bias, and the truth is, my life would not be, I mean, mine and your life would not be as it is, and many of the audience, because of the amount of people's information, the availability of the internet, the availability of people to be willing to share in books and information. Now they're all coming into my mind. And like I said, I actually feel sometimes, I'm outside narcissistic, but I feel like I'm on the forefront of something fucking special, doing my own thinking, and also having to try to build up an audience that people are starting to receive that knowledge and experiment with what I'm saying. Because I'm not saying to people, oh, look, I'm working this shit out. This is the quickest way. Don't follow it. I'm saying try it yourself and see if it is actually the quickest way. And I do feel sometimes like, holy shit. And we are necessary because there is so much that's been hidden from us. We must keep doing what we're doing. And there's not enough of, we are growing in number, but we still are outnumbered by the system. And if anyone doesn't believe that, just walk out the streets and ask somebody about urine therapy, ask someone about sun gazing, ask them about Joey Dispenza, ask them about the quantum field, ask them if there's life after death, ask them about synchronicities, and ask them about shit like that. And they'll just, you know the answer. So
yeah, this is it. It's all by design. You know, we're at a point in society where, you know, like Netflix, for example. Like, I used to be a big film buff, used to watch so much stuff. Now I think even if Netflix just stopped producing stuff today, I still wouldn't be able to consume it all in a lifetime. It's just so much. And don't get me wrong, entertainment is awesome, but it's a distraction as well, isn't it?
Completely. I mean, I do entertainment too. I just finished watching a film too, but I watch it from a different angle. I'm putting in so much work that you can't be. What I found in life is, I am a very serious person, by the way, but also I've learned that the duality system of yin yang, there is a certain thing as kickback and going too hardcore. And actually, my creativity comes from relaxing too. So if I'm always hardcore and don't sleep properly and don't relax, then I won't get the brain power that so there is an element to, entertainment is good. It's just what the masses use it for, is that's the only predominant thoughts in their life. And again, if you don't believe me, listen to conversation on a train, listen to conversation on a bus. What are they talking about? They're talking about the things me and you are talking about right now? I don't think so. They're talking about what they got to eat today, what they had fun, their holidays last year, how much their job fucking sucks, and how they can't wait, and relationships, and as if that's the only thing in their life, and kids. And this is not the way. Look, I'm trying not to judge, but I'm only discerning so that that's what I want in my life. So I can only look and see people as they are and say, do you know what, this is not what I want. So now I know who I want to become. So I will talk to people like you. We will communicate, we will grow, we will have deep conversations, we will change, we will learn, we will unlearn. That's the key. I think that's the key, Nate. We have got to unlearn. As soon as we come here, we have to unlearn, because the Matrix has told us things the wrong and lied, and I think it's deliberate. And so our life now is just to unlearn from the rest of our life till our dying days.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's like, as a lot of people have said to me, and as I will say to you, and I'm sure you will say to me, I do not want a head full of shit. So there's going to be people who are going to watch this and go, what the hell, this guy's off his rocker. And that's fine, it's a spectrum of weight, and we're all at different points in the journey. But what I'm hoping is that other people will see it, and they will perhaps have stuff to add. They might have conflicting knowledge that might give more clarification on things. And I know you're the same as me. Every day's a school day, right? We're always here to learn. So hopefully, with a few of my different guests, they are fields of information where there are kind of alternative views. So it'll be nice if anyone is kind of interested, they want to come and have a chat, me, you, and them can have a three-way conversation and kind of just debate it out. Because as you say, you're kind of just...
Definitely. Do you know what? I'm up for debates and stuff, but here's where I come to in my life. First of all, be open-minded, right? And second of all, everything that I talk about can be proven by your own action. You drink your own pee and you'll find out the truth. You sun gaze, you'll find out the truth. It's not about debating endlessly. I'm wrong and you're wrong. Actually, what it's about is, before you come and debate me, why don't you try it for yourself for a consistent period of time? But it won't even need that. You'll know from straight away. And then when you know from your experience, then you'll come at a place of, oh, not a book. You'll come at your own real life experience. And that's all I know, bro. I read books too, by the way, but my main attribute is I just open-minded and I try things out, and I may have not believed what they told me. And then, the rest was history.
Well, I've only got one rule in life, and that's try everything apart from incest and Morris dancing. So that's what it's all about. And you've got to try, got to give everything a try. Just be open-minded. And you only have to try it once, apart from this one, of course. life's a journey. It's just discovering, and you're into so many different things. What have you found with regards to brain entrainment technology? I know you got into that a little bit recently with the EquiSync, is it the one?
Yes.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that, if you would, Harry. What have you discovered with all that stuff?
Sure. Well, I'm kind of new to brain entrainment. Like I said to you earlier with the sun gazing, that is definitely a brain entrainment that people don't know. It works on the brain, but there's also meditation. There's also the flotation tank that you do. I think that's surely that's brain entrainment for the simple reason, even if you don't put all the stuff that I remember you talking with that lady about on it, just flotation. When you remove yourself from your body and you float, then you become what Joe Dispenza calls the nobody, and then your brain waves change, and that is brain entrainment. Brain entrainment to me is changing your brain waves from high stress to delta, theta, and even gamma, and have all these kind of experiences. So technically, in many ways, most of the health protocols we do, EquiSync, there's a program you listen to your ears, that's very powerful too. All of these things that we do for health, physical health and emotional health, and transcendental meditation, they all change the brain. And that's the key, because that's where the quantum field lies. That's where you change the program. That quantum field is basically a creation. It's just that one line of creation consciousness that we can all tap into. And it's not duality, it's the creation of duality comes from full field one consciousness. And anything to do with brain entrainment has got me excited, because that's what the Matrix doesn't want you to have. They don't want you to realize that there's more than duality. They want you to think duality is real, and it is fun, but they want you to think that that's it, duality, and that's all. But actually, and also another reason why I believe psychedelics are good too, because taking psychedelics is a little hack to enter this brainwave training. Actually, you want to know? I think psychedelics is, you want to know that what we're talking about is true. Go and take some strong psychedelics, LSD, ayahuasca, DMT, changa, 5-MDR, all these things, and you'll find out for yourself what brain entrainment really is and what the nature of reality is.
Yeah. Personally, I would, I agree with what you're saying. They are the key to show you, there is more to all this. But also, be careful. It's not something that I promote as in that people should do it because mental health issues can play a part and all these different things.
Yeah.
Exactly. But this is where we need to be headed. And then as a society, where when we remove all these kind of, or we restructure these kind of archaic laws which are stopping us from exploring our own consciousness and all the rest of it, that facilities can be built or repurposed rather and put into place. So for those who are open and willing and want to explore and want to try these things, they can do so in a safe, productive setting and all this kind of stuff, because it can go real bad real quick, with these substances. They're very powerful. And not only that, you don't even need those substances. You can do the same thing as I know you already know, like holotropic breathing, for example, through Stanislav Grof.
Have you tried that? I'm interested to try it. Very interested.
I've done a little bit of it. I've not. The thing is, I'm lazy. See, Harry. If I can't I do a bit of I do a bit of purposeful practice with a few things, but I never really stick to anything for any kind of set amount or a longer amount of time. So I've done a little bit of it. But yeah, this holotropic breathing technique can also induce altered states of consciousness. So you can literally, and then this, you find out then that, apparently DMT is produced in the lungs. So is holotropic breathing then causing a release of endogenous DMT? It seems that might well be the case. And
just a quick one. Do you know, I was listening to Joe Rogan talking to Michael Pollan recently on his podcast, and he said,
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, do you know, he said DMT is illegal, right, to take mushrooms and exogenously, but then why don't we make the body illegal? Because it's running through our body every single fucking day because we make it ourselves. So what are you going to do next, government? You're going to make our bodies illegal. You're going to make it, come on.
This is it. It's such a farcical concept when you break it down, isn't it? And we kind of know why it's illegal, because if you take if anyone, and this is kind of paraphrasing Terence McKenna, you go and smoke 50 milligrams of DMT. Not that I'm suggesting anybody does, but if you do, you'll see that this ain't all there is. You know what I mean? It's just, as you say, the Matrix, whatever, this whole thing of being trapped in duality. This isn't all there is. We know this, and that's kind of, that's all part of the exploration, isn't it? It is kind of, I think I've pretty much tried all those substances apart from the ayahuasca, and I've had some crazy kind of experiences that are very revelatory and kind of show you, okay. But I'm kind of wanting to strive towards now, as you know, with the flotation stuff, is coming away from, because I will be speaking to a few people on the podcast, hopefully in the next few weeks and months, with regards to, it's all good and well going on retreats to Peru and all the rest of it, but given the flip side of it as well, because there are a few kind of opposite issues that come into play with regards to, the ayahuasca tourism, what it's doing to the environment, and nefarious kind of shamans, people who are not really legitimately, what they make out they are, all these other elements. But with regards to the flotation, the brain entrainment, the lucia light, the agena light, the Pandora star, and all these things, I think that we can do all these things without even needing to use the plant substances.
Agreed.
Because
I'm really looking forward to doing the flotation tank, trying that out for sure.
Yeah, well, it's still all in, it's all in progress. I'm hoping, like I said, I've made this podcast, and perhaps maybe sometime next year I might be able to do a crowdfunding campaign, possibly, to kind of get it together. Or even, I don't know, I'm just going to go with the universe and see how this thing transpires. But the point I wanted to make with all that was that, if you go into a deep medicine ceremony, whether it's mushrooms, whether it's ayahuasca, you're in for the long haul. You're in for the ride. Once you're in, you're in. There's no like, oh, I don't quite like this, I want to get off. It's like, buckle up, baby. You're in for the ride, And it's like, with the flotation stuff, the minute you're in a flotation tank, getting within yourself, and Joe Rogan talks about, you get so deep, and then, you go, and then you're back, and you have to go again and go again. But the point is that when you're in that experience, if it does become unpleasant or too much, you can just pull yourself straight out of it.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot more beneficial, and I think it'll be a lot more appealing to a lot of people.
You can do it at your own pace. If you're too scared and it's cold, it's your journey. You can get out of that straight away. Right.
Exactly, and I do believe that we can invoke or create those same experiences, or altered states of consciousness, which allow us to go into ourselves. And we talk about, they say about quantum physics, about the whole is created, the whole is contained within every atom, the holographic universe and stuff. So that makes sense. So you can go into yourself and access. There's no need to go out there exploring the physical universe. You can just go into yourself and explore your own universe. So I think that's where we're going to find the answers, or more answers, rather than the one.
I'm actually, while you're talking, I was thinking I need to go and try. Do you know what I do in the flotation tank as a geek? I just do some TM. So I do my TM while I'm floating, and I'm pretty sure something crazy is going to happen very quickly. Plus, also, I'm not coming in with someone that's not unprepared. I'm quite physically healthy too, so I might get some fucking crazy results if I went and did it. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to look into it.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's the flotation as a whole. It can offer so many benefits, just from your very basic end of the spectrum, your relaxation, your de-stressing, to then you want to go right further down the other end of the spectrum. Then you start bringing in kind of your brain entrainment lights, your transcendental meditation, extended floating, where you're doing it rather than just for an hour or 2 hours. You're going in there for 8 hours or 12 hours and really, really going deep. And then it's just about, I think, collating the experiences and sharing all the knowledge together to find out,
just to add it to what Joey Dispenza talks, Joey says about we're matter, and the fourth field, infinite consciousness, is energy. And so when you move your physical dense body, where by floating, all of a sudden you have a lot easier access to what he talks about, which is where the magic happens and where the reality of life is. And of course, you're going to have creativity. Of course, your body's going to heal from, do you know what? I'm thinking as well, surely there's a lot of diseases, serious diseases. If you did enough consistent basis flotation tank therapy, I'm pretty sure, if the information's not out there, it should be, that you can cure a lot of diseases by just forgetting that you have a body. Because that's what Joey Spence talks about. Forget you have a body, become nobody. And flotation tank will forget you. Even if you're heavy, it'll float you, right? Even if you're really fucking fat, like, it'll float you. So yeah, for sure. It can work for anyone. And we go back to Joe Dispenza again. Some of the things that he talks about, people being able to heal themselves from, and his own personal story, where his back, he was told you'll never walk again, and he manifested and visualized and all the rest of it. It does test the limits of belief, then, if you want to put it like that, because certain things you kind of, unless I'm seeing it with my own eyes, I'm going to reserve the right to think, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it does seem, he's got quite a lot of information out there that this is legit, and it's cutting edge science, and it is science as well. They are recording it, they are using scientific equipment to record people's brain states, and they talk about the one guy's like, this guy's having a fit, and they're like, well, does he look like he's having a fit? He looks very happy. Well, the computer says this is telltale signs on the ECG and all the rest of it that he's having a fit. It's like, well, clearly he is not. So what's going on? And you come back then to the whole being able to go into the mind,
to create experiences which are more real than waking reality. And that's when, as you said, the magic happens and people are able to actually heal themselves, which, you know, certain interests don't want that kind of information getting out and about. Well, you can just go in a float tank and heal yourself, or all these other different kind of modalities. It seems that might well be the case. Yeah. So I think it's just about exploring it all, getting it all out there, and yeah, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it?
Yeah, bro. I mean, while you're saying, I'm thinking like there's outer space out there. Why don't we explore the inner space? Because it's all about the inner space. Let's explore the realms of what's going on in here. And if they keep us, Matrix keeps us out there with stress, for example, with entertainment and all that shit. We never get a chance to quieten down, chill out, meditate, float tanks, take medicine, and look inside. And that's what they don't want, because inside, when you go inside, you'll find out that we are all powerful, that this life ain't so serious, and there's joy and bliss inside you, and they don't want that, and for whatever reason. So yeah,
this does seem to be the case, and you know, we all just want to be free, number one, and just, you know, you can be content, you can be happy, and you know, happiness is not a state that you can be in all the time. There has to be that balance, but it's better to be able to have that opportunity to be able to kind of try and do these things rather than, you know, just being stuck with all the distractions. So
you know, I feel like it's a facade people put on about being happy. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was out in town, and what I like to do is I chat beautiful girls up. I'm a single guy. So what I do is I'll go up to them and say hello, introduce myself, and start a conversation. Now, it shocks me every time that people have a face like they're kind of not in a bad mood and stressed. And when you go and talk to them, you'll find out straight away, it's not about you, it's they're stressed, or they'll outright tell me, oh, sorry, I'm having a bad day. And it's like, that's how I come to conclusions as simple as people put on a facade that they're all happy, but actually we are all living in stress. Like, so many of us are living in stress. Even if it doesn't look like someone's stressed in the face, trust me, there's a lot going on there inside the matrix, that person being really stressed, and life is fucking tough.
It is, yeah. And it's, excuse me, I know some people who are able to mask that stress and have this outward demeanor that's all positive, but what's actually going on in the background there is they having to push that down deep inside somewhere, and that's not healthy, is it? Because that's where then
that's the cause of disease, in my opinion.
It's just exactly going to say the disease is what starts, then manifests as physical kind of symptoms and all that. So you're right there. Have you been reading the Art of Seduction? Have you by
I have read that in my past. I've read The Game by Neil Strauss. That was a good one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very good.
Putting the old techniques to use, is it, out on the public?
Oh yeah, I've been practicing now for 10 years. That's where I started my self-improvement journey, rewiring my brain with just chatting up girls and realizing that people are just people, and I shouldn't be scared of talking to strangers, and learning to give value and learning to socialize with people again.
Yeah, no, 100%. I picked it up somewhere along the line that, you know, everyone has a piece of the puzzle. Yeah. So, you know, you stop and chat to the homeless guy in the street just because, you know, he's there, you're at the cash when you start chatting, and actually, you know, we are all just human beings, and it does seem that way. Someone you might think, I haven't got time. When you do take the time, sometimes you think little bits of information come on, and you go, oh, okay, cool, and puts you just on a little bit of a different path and all the rest of it.
And to be a bit cheesy, I think that altruism and compassion makes us more connected to the field, and raises our vibration, takes us away from physical body, more into truly who we are underneath the bullshit. So I think there's an evolutionary, if you want to call it, reasons to be compassionate, to talk to, realize that everyone has something for you. And even people that you don't admire have something that you don't want to be. So you can learn from everybody. How's that?
This is it. I always used to dislike when they say, if you take a disliking to somebody, it's because you see an element of yourself in them. Oh. Like, no, that's not the case. I'm cool as hell. This guy's an asshole. But it's not. It is literally you. Oh, yeah. When you break it down and actually analyze, you think, oh, yeah, perhaps it is a bit of myself in it. So, yes, no, this does all make sense. And then communication and community and just, you know, being with other people, meeting new people. I love meeting new people and just getting a new perspective on things. I think that's what keeps us going and keeps, you know, this whole game going. And I had a thought then. I said, oh yeah, it's about, like you said, about being altruistic. It's very easy to be selfish, and I am a very selfish person by my nature. I always have been. I try not to be, and I work on it. But what you put out, you do get back. You know, it just seems to be the way. I have kind of experienced that in real time as well. It's kind of like, yeah, and it kind of just, it inspires you to do it even more then, and it kind of just becomes that circle that keeps, It is really
Definitely.
nice.
I mean, and why we do what we do, why we're doing this podcast, why we do everything we do is because we understand what it's like to feel shit and to be disempowered from our true nature. And then when you do become a better person, and it's a journey, you become like a cup half full instead of a cup half empty. And now you're pouring out. In fact, you become a full cup pouring. So now you understand at a deep level that what makes you really happy is giving the information of your journey, because your journey is what you said earlier, what one man can do, so can another. So by giving out your information of how you did it, that's going to affect the lives of somebody. And you know what? I don't think it's all about numbers in a way of looking at it. It's literally like making a difference in one person's life profoundly is worth far more than influencing 10,000 people just a little bit, you know?
100% agree there, Harry. 100% agree. You hit the nail on the head, because that is what it's about, you know. And there is an element of this. I'm making it for, you know, my niece and nephew. I've got a niece and nephew who are 2 and 4, and, you know, God knows what the world's going to be like when they're teenagers and old enough to kind of watch these videos and see. And I just want them to know, yeah, you know, we're just doing our little bit. We all just do what we can, and that's how it is. And perhaps, you know, I said, who knows what the world's going to be like.
That's weird, isn't it? I was just thinking while you're talking that. Generally imagine like your nieces when they're like adults and you're like 60, 70, and then they're looking at your stuff and looking at your legacy. It's great that we're doing stuff like this for our legacy, as well as help people, so they know that, oh, this is what my dad was doing when he was a younger man. This is why they're cool granddad now. They see what made him what he made him, so they can see your journey. And that's another reason why I love this lifetime, because now we've got the technology to record who we are, not just photos, but actual videos and stuff of who we are now, which is going to be never going to go away. It's going to be in the future, so people can see our journey, and then they can replicate, because now there's videos. There's books, there's videos, there's social media, there's all that stuff.
We've never had it so good, have we? Let's be fair. You know, there are, like I said, there are certain elements where things are kind of could be a bit better, but and I think a lot of it just needs repurposing. You know, we're seeing now, you know, YouTube, Facebook, just censoring. Facebook is just the BBC essentially now, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's basically, it's like the BBC. Yeah, and, you know, restricting information. I get, you know, hate speech and, you know, inciting violence. Yeah, obviously, you know, no one wants to see that. No one wants to hear that unless, you know, you've got issues yourself. But the rest of it, bloody hell, information is just information. And some of it gels, some of it resonates, and some of it doesn't. Perhaps if I'd shared this conversation 5 years ago, I just wouldn't have gone in. It would have been like, I remember I saw the guy on GMTV, I think it was, or Good Morning Britain or something, talking about it. I was just like, what? This is because he's an alien concept. But I like to, anything that intrigues me or kind of makes me question, what? I'm in there. I just want to know all about it. So, yeah,
you talk about brainwashing. Like this Thursday, I don't know if you're aware, there's a BBC program on called Conspiracy Files. It's on vaccines, bro. So on it, they're going to bash. They're going to say, oh, look at all these anti-vaxxers. They're all fucking crazy. It's on the BBC 9 o'clock prime time. Right. So that's a great example of matrix programming bullshit. It's going to have a go at people like me and you that are an anti-vaxxers based in saying we're all crazy, and give evidence for an hour that actually vaccines save lives and they're useful. And like, oh man, I'm looking forward to it, because I like to understand where the enemy's at. Sometimes I don't want to go too deep there, but sometimes I want to understand where they're coming from, the enemy, because they are the enemy to me.
This is it. And I get in a lot of trouble from my dear friend Karis when I talk about terms of like us and them, and she says there's no us and them, we are all one. And I'm like, I know we are all one and everything is just one, but there is also this element of, you know, there's interests at play that don't have our best interests at heart. So by definition there is an us and them. And I know, you know, we talk about reflections of self and all the rest of it. You have to, what do they say? Keep your friends close, keep the other buggers closer.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, keep your enemies closer, yeah.
Yeah, because like the whole, you know, I'm not bashing anyone for vaccinations, because, you know, the indoctrination is strong, real strong. And
just a quick one on vaccinations. If people want to know the ultimate vaccine, I'll give it to you quite simply and explain why. Your own fresh urine at the time you are sick has all the antibodies that you're gonna get recirculated. Because think about it, when you're sick, your body's trying to help you. It's what keeps you alive when you're seriously sick or mildly sick. Even if you've got a little cold or whatever coming up, at any time you take your fresh urine, it's a picture shot of all the diseases, and the antibodies are being produced to diseases that you might even not know you're having. So therefore, when you retake those antibodies, you're doubling up your immune system against diseases that your body's trying to build up. But it won't break to the surface unless you don't look after yourself. And a way to guarantee it doesn't break the surface is those diseases you're fighting, drink your urine. So that, to me, is the ultimate vaccine. Your fresh urine at the time you're sick, or you're worried about going sick, or you're visiting another country, drink your pee and you should be fine, right?
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I've got a friend who's been all over the world, never been vaccinated. Said, I've been on every continent, and I've never. Some of them now you can't go to because they won't let you in unless you've got them, the stamp. He said, I'm fine. He said, just don't eat. If you're in a third world country, don't eat the meat and be careful with the water. He went, but and I've done, and I know you would have done too. I've done a lot of research into it, and you have to question everything. Of course you do, but you do get to a point where you see it, and you just see it for what it is. It's just, to me, it's not even. But I think when people haven't done their own deep research and then they're just kind of parroting, someone will come back to me, they'll have a conflict of ideas, and then go to Wikipedia and come straight back with a Wikipedia response. It's like, oh. Yeah. Good work on the deep research there, brother. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But my point of it is when, kids now getting older and going, hang on a minute, in the age of information, whose bloody bright idea was all this? Now I'm just going to be able to say, well, I put it out there, whether people take it in or not, that's up to them. But I've done, my little bit. So it'll be interesting to watch that. I won't watch it lifetime because I don't have a TV, but I will check it out because it is interesting to see how orchestrated it all is, and how clever they are doing it. I said they again, but
Do you know what? I didn't tell you. I have a bit of my story, actually, a vested interest. I have vested interest in vaccines because I'm vaccine damaged. Now, we all are. But actually, I'm short-sighted. And I'm short-sighted. And do you know why? I'll tell you. I became short-sighted at the age of 13 years old. And it was 6 months. I only figured this out afterwards. Not at the time, obviously. I was 6 months after getting this vaccine at school, which my parents signed for, by the way. They could have opted out. Anyway, 6 months after, I was on holiday in Canada. And my eyes were perfect before. I looked at the cars in front of me on holiday and I couldn't see. And I told my dad, and I was like, I'm going short-sighted. And then we came back home, and the doctor, the orthodontist, optometrist, whatever I don't even know their name, bro. I don't even care.
Ophthalmologist, I think, is it?
Whatever. Yeah, probably something like that. Anyway, they said to you, oh, you're short-sighted. Now, here's the thing. I haven't worn glasses consciously since last November. I do a lot of physical health protocols. I did a 7.5-day fast last November, no food, no water. I do sun gazing, aged urine. I do transcendental meditation now. My eyes haven't got better. Right? They haven't got worse, either sun gazing, cool, but they haven't got better. Now, the point of this is that vaccine damage is almost, I hate to say this, people might disagree with me, but sometimes I think some things are permanent. That's how bad vaccines are. I can't even fix my eyes, and I'm doing so many health things. It might fix in the future, but it should have fixed by now because I'm so clean. And it's what is crazy that a vaccine can make me short-sighted and I can't fix it. And I'm doing everything under the sun to try and fix it. And that's my story. And I don't think it's an accident that happened to me to kind of influence the idea that vaccines are not good. They'd completely destroy my eyes. By the way, my parents are in denial about that. Whenever I tell my parents, they just get angry or just think I'm joking. And actually, it's kind of their fault. And the Matrix's fault, definitely, because they signed the fucking form saying, oh, Harry had the vaccine. So,
Yeah, I know, but we do also have to kind of be a bit more kind of understanding in the terms that, our parents lied to us, their parents lied to them, and, it's been an ongoing process, and it is hard to break. And when I've spoken to some people and they've gone, you're crazy, and I've always been kind of an intelligent person or whatever, and people know that I'm an idiot. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of the biggest idiots you'll ever meet. But I'm not stupid, And I say, please, just look at the. Oh, the doctors wouldn't give it to us if it was bad for us.
Yeah.
All right then, no worries. Yeah, it is what it is, and let's say.
Do you know? I think everyone's vaccine damaged, but I think the body's so clever that it can hide the toxicity within, and the symptoms might not ever develop fully, or you might be strong enough to keep it a little bit at bay, but it will break. In other words, you've got to look at this. Diseases like this, there's a line where the diseases spill over into ill health, but it doesn't mean you're not toxic. And vaccines push you towards that level of getting diseases. Even if you've not got one yet, it pushes your count of heavy metals and crap in your body into that for everybody. I mean that for everybody. I just don't think there's one vaccine that actually does what it's fucking supposed to do. Now, I might be too extreme with that, but
I personally don't think you are. That's just my opinion. Again, it's all just opinions. The body's awesome. The body doesn't need any of this shit. I was vaccine damaged. And again, this is me just putting two and two together. It might not be, but I suffered very badly with eczema as a child. At one point, I suffered very severely with boils, like really big boils. At one point, I had like 17 of them all around my groins. Very sexy. And you've never wanted me more.
Yeah.
You've never wanted me more, Harry. I can tell. But no, on a serious note, like it was really painful. It was really unpleasant. And my understanding of it is that these. So, for example, peanut butter allergies or peanut allergies, the incidences of peanut allergies now are through the roof. And this just seems, obviously, correlation, was it? Correlation is not causation, but they put peanut, some kind of derivative in the vaccines. So, okay,
Wow.
well, we won't put 2 and 2 together, but we can go, oh, maybe there's something to that. But not only that, just all the other shit that's in there. Some of the stuff that's in these vaccines, like, if you fed those to your child as individual ingredients out of a pot with a spoon, you'd have your kids taken off you. Child abuse. And I laugh, but it's a serious issue, you know. They're poisons in their own individual rights. They are poisons, a lot of them. And the thing of it is, so, you know, they say about vaccines then cause infections, ear infections, throat infections, and what comes then? Antibiotics, you know, and then it's this constant degrading of the immune system through the antibiotics. And I was trying to say, like, I get it. Nobody wants to see their child in pain and discomfort. But at the same time, like, if they have an ear infection or a throat infection, it's not going to kill them. They're not going to die. They might just need to go through a bit of pain for a few days. But by doing this antibiotics over and over and over, you know, we've seen all the research and the evidence is out there. We know they're not good, and you know, we're creating like super resistant strains of these kind of, I forget the name, but you know what I'm talking about. And it's just not good. And as I said, the eczema, the boils. And I had a few ear infections and things. I know these things happen, but when I was in prison, the first time they gave me the hepatitis B vaccinations.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and it was 2008, just before I kind of really got into kind of David Icke and learning about vaccinations. I was like, oh shit, I just missed. I was like, damn, I've only just had one in. But the second time they tried to do it again. She was like, Aris, you need to come for your vaccination. I was like, you're not vaccinating me, thank you very much. She's like, what do you mean? You've got to have it. I'm like, well, I don't have to have it, number one. And number two, can you tell me what's in it? Well, it's a Hep B vaccination to stop you from getting Hep B. I'm like, yeah, but what's in it? Can you tell me what's in it? Well, I'm sure like the doctor will be able to say. It's like, they don't even know half the time. There's no informed consent. And it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? You see these, I saw one the other day, and I hope it wasn't disinformation. It was a lady and her husband, and they had triplets, and all 3 of them instantly like vaccine damaged, and perhaps there was some kind of genetic.
Have you seen Vaxxed, by the way? That's a good one, people to watch.
I've pretty much seen them all. Yeah, I put a meme out quite a little while ago, and I think there were 22 documentaries on there I'd watched. It gets to a point where you just get enough information, and you think, I've pretty much got the picture here, you know.
Yeah. I mean, those are more for people that I like to watch them for entertainment, but there's more for people that aren't awoke and they just want to.
Well, this is it. Yeah, this is it, to come to it. And I'm always, whenever I overhear and even strangers say, "Oh, my baby's going for the jab," I'm always tempted to just go, "Oh, have you watched this documentary?" Here's a little watch tonight. You might thank me. But sometimes I don't. So I always feel morally obligated to do it because, like, at the end of the day, if people don't know, and there's a lot of things in life I wish people had told me. I know everything comes to you at the right time and all that kind of stuff, but
you know what I think about that as well. Sometimes it's not their time, but if you have like 7 times in life, apparently, people need to hear the same message, not just from you, for 7 people, but a lot of people down the line. So you're like the first, maybe that you actually had the balls to say that to that person. It doesn't mean tomorrow they're going to do that, but it means that they might hear it 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, because of you started the chain. Do you know what I mean? That's why we should always do what we're doing. Like,
there's a funny kind of point on that one where, have you ever found yourself telling maybe somebody, a close friend or one of your nearest and dearest, about a certain issue, and you've told them a few times, and then later on they come on and go, "You'll never guess what I've just found out from da-da-da-da-da." But I'm like, yeah, I know, I've been telling you about this for ages. You won't listen to me, but because so-and-so has said it, now you're on board. Oh, great. So I don't know.
Funny, isn't it, Greg? And it hurts the ego a little bit for me as well.
It does, yeah, exactly. It does. You're like, how dare you you indeed. But, you know, that's just life, isn't it? It's all the psychology.
You know something as well? I don't tell my family. I'm learning to get better at accepting people as they are. And so I just accept their strengths and accept that the matrix has them this way, and just accept them as the beautiful. I'm learning slowly to, and I learned, every one of us learn. We talked about this before at the beginning of our journey. We make that mistake over and over again. And then we realize, oh, one day, do you know what? Let's chill out a little bit. Let's chill out because they're not ready for it now. Cool. Let's just carry on doing what we do and just leave them to.
Yeah, I went through that. You're just like, oh my God, information. You've got to check this out. You've got to know about this. And people are like, will you just piss off and leave me alone? So it is. You can't force it upon anyone. But this kind of methodology now of just recording the conversations, putting them out there for public consumption, to come to the right people at the right time, and it's not going to be for everyone. And as I said, this is going to be one of the more divisive conversations, I imagine, because it's a divisive issue. People are going to listen to this and go, I just hope people come with an open mind. That's all we ask for. That's all we ever ask for, is just keep an open mind. And what I liking to do now recently is testing the limits of my cognitive dissonance, the old incredulity bias, because I get to things. Have you seen, are you familiar with any of the mud flood Tartaria stuff? I think we've
a little bit. I agree with that stuff. Yeah, I need to do more research in it, but I'm definitely down with the idea. It sounds intriguing.
Yeah, so that's a rabbit hole in and of itself, and a deep hole one. There's lots of information you can find out there. John Levy, Martin Leakey, there are others as well. Really good. John Levy's pretty good. And it's all kind of, you look at it, you think, all right, yeah. All these pieces come together, and you think, okay, well, we've not got anything definitive, but there's stuff here, and there's a narrative that clearly needs a bit more kind of closer inspection. But then there's a guy, Mud Fossil University.
Yes, very good one.
This guy is testing the limits of my cognitive dissonance. Holy shit.
Okay.
Really is. I'm not going to get all into it, but if you want to test the limit, if you think you're open-minded, go and have a look at the Mud Fossil University and see where you stand, because it's just mind-boggling, really kind of. And that's what I like to do at the end of the day. You find stuff that doesn't kind of resonate with your own understanding of the universe. But I don't like that, and I adopted this from my good friend Roger. I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in anything, but I have an understanding of the universe, my own understanding of how things are and how things work, which is constantly evolving. And it only evolves by speaking to loads of different people, getting all different pieces of information together. And then, as you said, it's not everything's going to resonate, but as you said about the whole 7 times, perhaps somebody might listen to this, listen to 10 minutes of it and go, this is nonsense, switch it off. That's fine, that's all good. And then perhaps later on down the line, something else, and they go, yeah, I've heard about this before. But it might be, a lot of the time, you're familiar with the term maven?
Which one?
A maven. So in a social group, you'll have what's considered a maven, who is kind of, perhaps it might sometimes be the matriarch, or in times gone by it might have been the shaman or the medicine man, but it's the person who everyone goes to, or the person who's looked up to, and who's, if the maven says it's so, then it's so kind of thing. If you're one of those people who doesn't just do your own thing, you always have to go to the, well, is this right? And let me go and ask Harry. If anyone will know, it'll be Harry. That kind of scenario. And it's the mavens who are the ones a lot of the time we need to kind of get through to with regards to kind of getting information out there, because they're kind of a social gatekeeper then, if you like, if you want to put it like that.
I'm with you. Yeah. Like doctors are mavens in a way. Doctors and nurses and...
Well, it's respected, isn't it? If you spent all that time, you went to medical school, oh, he's a doctor. And you're like, yeah, and I'm not...
And he makes lots of money because it's such a high-profile money. In 5 years of university, and it must be smart. 5 years, what, learning rubbish? I don't think so. Everyone's like, 5 years of hard study, you must get good grades. You must be a fucking genius, right?
It is, and we're not for a single second disrespecting doctors. That's not what it's about. But what we are addressing is the fact that, from my understanding of it, medical school, is a lot of it is just being able to absorb the information that they're presented with and to regurgitate it. I know there's a lot of Latin, terminology for all the body parts, and I was just watching this thing, and they were talking about all the different mnemonics they use to be able to remember these things. Is it actually learning as such, or is it just programming? To me, it's programming. I'm hoping to speak with Dr. Jennifer Daniels soon. Are you familiar with Jennifer Daniels?
Awesome. I heard of her, the turpentine cute lady.
Yeah, she's a legend. So she's agreed to come on. I'm just in kind of conversation now with her PAs to get a date booked in. So hers will be great because she's gone through it firsthand,
Yeah, definitely. That'd be good.
She trained as a doctor. She was raised with her grandmother. Her grandmother was like, the medicine woman, and she knew all the plants and the herbs. She hadn't lost that kind of knowledge from, times gone by before Big Pharma got involved, and she was talking about the Merck medicinal manual, where I think it was like, 1899, turpentine was in there as a remedy for pretty much all ailments. And then as the new editions started coming out, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, just slowly taking it away, like turpentine. We don't want people knowing about that. So her story was then she kind of trained, was practicing as she was taught to practice, and even though people were following her medical advice, they were still, some of them are dying, not healing. And then she started doing her own thing and just started finding, actually, a lot of these medicines are actually they're not beneficial at all. So I'm looking forward to speaking with Jennifer, because
that's going to be brilliant. But thank you, bro, because I just got an idea for my next Facebook post. I'll tag you on. I typed this for 1899 Merck manual, turpentine was the cure for everything. Why is it not now?
There we go. Boom.
So.
Awesome. So tell us then, if you will, Harry, what we've got. It's 5:15. Do you want to take a little break, Harry, or just want to plow on?
I've got 15 more minutes, bro, before I get sunset. I want to get sunset in.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's just crack on then. So I wanted to ask you about the Cambo that you did recently. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. So Cambo is not a psychedelic, even though it may bring connotations of it. It's actually a very powerful frog medicine. So I don't upset militant vegans here, but just to know that there's variations of it where it's taken peacefully, and it's been well known and used by Peruvian tribes and South American tribes for a long time. So it's ancient knowledge that we're bringing to the table of collecting the serum of this frog in the Amazonian. And basically it's, you get it into your bloodstream via burning your hand a little bit like a cigarette butt, and then putting on the medicine, and it gets into your bloodstream. And what it does is it's a very powerful physical health protocol. Like think of a detox medicine like aged urine, bump it up times 10, and put these medicine on your arm. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see. Maybe you won't be able to see, but anyway, I've got it on my arm somewhere, 6 dots. And you put that on, and then you wait half an hour, and within minutes, your heart beats faster as the medicine sinks in. And wow, bro, it's a very powerful cleanse for your body, very healthy. And depending on your prior state of health, what it will induce is vomiting. So if you're really unhealthy, you'll vomit straight away. If you're a little bit less unhealthy, you'll vomit a little longer. I'm pleased to say that I didn't vomit at all. And the guy was like, oh shit, you must be healthy. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't mean I didn't get benefits, but I just didn't vomit like everyone else. And do you know the funny thing with that, bro? The funny thing with the Cambo is I'm very small, and sometimes people criticize me for being too thin and say I'm not healthy because it's not good to be too healthy. But let me tell you a story on that. I took it with 5 other people. Two of them were butch men that are in their 40s, 50s with massive pumped arms that go to the gym a lot. So according to society, these guys are healthier than me, right? Because, most people think, oh, look at them. This skinny Harry looks underweight. And then these butch as fuck men with massive pumped arms, ripped 6-pack and all that shit. Well, they did the Cambo too. One of them vomited straight away. The other one took like 2-3 minutes. And these are tests that to me indicate that the real health is not like, oh, I've got big arms. Actually, to me, that's really dangerous and really unhealthy. And the real test is how clean you are inside your body. And Cambo, what it does is it exposes weaknesses and cleans you up. And it just works so fucking powerfully. Now, it does scare people because of the vomiting, because the heart beats faster. It's not for people that are, not hardcore in a way. It's a hardcore thing to do, a bit like ayahuasca, a bit like LSD. These are not, not to rush into if you're new into health. Do some prior work, there are so many medicines available to us that the ancients have passed on to us. It blows my mind sometimes how the ancients could have known about this frog. How could have someone found this out? Like, oh, the secretion of this frog seems to, and same with DMT on toads, the 5-meow DMT. How do people know that this frog, it blows my mind, bro, that people have invented and found out this stuff and passed on the knowledge. So we should use them. We should use them to get fucking healthy.
Yeah, this is where we need to be coming to, isn't it? Is pulling all the ancient kind of knowledge and wisdom, as much of it as we've got, because we know a lot of it's been suppressed and hidden. And they're all about Storm Area 51, Storm the Vatican. That seems to be popping up a lot. Not that I suggest you do that, I don't want any of the Jesuit assassins coming knocking my door. No, thank you. But yeah, on a serious note, pulling all that ancient wisdom. And what I found was when I was researching shamanism in jail, I bought a load of books off Amazon and was ordering loads from the library. And then simultaneously reading things into quantum mechanics and quantum physics and all the rest of it. There were so many things gelling together, and kind of I thought, they're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So we're kind of rediscovering a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And as I said, I do keep saying, I hope I'm not annoying people, but it is everything on the table. When we get all, you know, when you look at everything, you're able to paint more of a picture, because you can pull different threads together you wouldn't not normally have thought about. So yeah, Cambo. I've not tried Cambo. I think my friend Claire went to do it a couple of weeks ago, and I've not seen her since. So what?
She didn't make it. She didn't make it, die.
Oh. No, let's hope not. I'm sure she's fine. So you do the burning of the arm then. Talk us through the experience, if you would, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it's a very traditional ceremony, and the guy that did it was singing Spanish. He was very cool. He's very proficient. He's done it before in Peru. So always, well, with these things, I don't recommend people buy them online, even if you could, and do them by yourself. And same with psychedelics.
Definitely not.
Get someone who's professional, and do it with a group of people that either haven't done it before too, because that'll make it a lot easier for you. But anyway, I was the guy that did it knew that I'm very keen and very into health. So he thought, okay, let Harry go first, because then it relaxes everybody else, because some people are relaxed, they weren't relaxed, and I'm just like really excited to be there. I'm like, come on, let's get it on quickly, let's go. I want to be first. So yeah, he put it on my arm, and the guy next to me we did it in twos. He was vomiting and scared, and it got to the point whereas I was not feeling any vomiting, and I was watching the other guy and just concerned for him as he was vomiting, and my shaman was like, Harry, focus on yours, please. I mean, but I was just like curious, because nothing.
That's human nature, isn't it? Human nature, yeah.
I was feeling hot. I wasn't getting vomity, and I did feel very much different the entirety of the time afterwards, and apparently it stays in your blood for many days and months if you're clean, many months afterwards. And I must say that I was acting like a shaman myself after I had the medicine, and I was very compassionate and like asking people, oh, how are you? I mean, not how are you, how's your experience? And I can give more, because the medicine worked very powerfully in my clean body. It just made me more clean. But yeah, I enjoy these events a lot for meeting people too. So making friends with people, because you remember, we think we're alone, but then we have these interviews, and it's nice to talk in video and Facebook, but then it's even better to meet in real life. Hopefully I'll meet you too, brother, by the way. I'll definitely meet you. For sure. And then we just meet up with each other. You realize you're not alone. And then when I went there, I found out people were doing ayahuasca the week after. And then you can ask where to do your stuff. And it's just a congregation it's just such a brilliant vibe. And to know that you're not alone, and you're not crazy for thinking, for taking medicines like this, taking psychedelics, it's just really nice.
Yeah, no, I get you completely there. I went to a sound bath. My partner took me for my birthday this year, and it was the same kind of thing. It was a beautiful year, and the bongs and everything. And it's just nice to meet like-minded people in person. The internet is fantastic. It's awesome, and I meet new people all the time. But you can't beat that in the flesh, face to face. It's just nice, isn't it? And that's what we try and do. Like locally, we've got our rabbit hole meetup and the mind body spirit group that meets up, and it's just nice to get together. It's all good and well inboxing and chatting, but all us sitting around the table chatting, it's just great. I love it, and that's what we try.
We are not alone.
This is it. We try to encourage a lot more. So then I think it will be after we round off then, Harry, I wanted to ask you about the little video about ejaculation, which is something that's come up for a couple of friends of mine recently, and in fact, it was through I won't get into it now. I'll talk about that another time. But well, actually, no, I will. Go on. He had a DMT experience, and the entity contacts was saying he had entity contact with two energetic beings, and they were saying to him, "We've got so much more to show you, but you need to work on yourself first. So stop watching porn." This is what they told him: stop watching porn.
Wow.
And stop ejaculating.
Huh.
Build up your energy, which is why I wanted to ask you about it. So he's been on the seminal retention vibe ever since, and obviously feeling stronger, feeling fitter, feeling more powerful, if you want to put it like that. I've not yet caught up with him to see if he's been back to see, his experience number 2. What's your experience, Harry, of seminal retention and ejaculation, or ejaculation rather?
Bro, this is a huge topic. I don't know where to start. It's so epic. This is one of the most transformational experiences for males. Now, I think it might be slightly different. I can't speak for women. I want to speak for men. For men, semen retention is one of the most powerful things you could ever do for your physical health, but also, just like you said, far beyond physical health. Like if you think about what the yoga said, there's 5 different types of body: the mental, the energetic, the physical is just one. I know this for a fact. The chakras are real, all this stuff. Like it does things on so many levels beyond the physical. Yes, it does raise the Kulindini. Yes, it does. You can do ejaculations, awesome stuff, but it's far more than that. It's almost like what you want to, if you want to go back to Joe Dispenza's work, you become less physical and more energetic, more matter. You become, and again, there's a reason why a porn exists. It plays into your lower self, which is the part of the matrix programming. And quite frankly, if every man was taught at a young age in school the powers of semen retention to practice it, then society, just that alone, forget about meditation, all the other amazing flotation tanks, all that stuff, which are amazing and very powerful too. That one alone can bring down the system, because then we'd raise men that are actually being men. Because I think part of the reason why we have a lot of men that have forgotten their true masculinity is because of the fact that we are programmed to waste that seed either on images or even just having sex too much without sacred sexuality, without learning about white tantra and having this, you know, like, she's there for my pleasure and I just want to quickly get off in 2 minutes and do it every day. That's just narcissistic. So yeah, if you ask him like how powerful it is, I mean, like going to mechanics and physical stuff, like look at this, mate, like your testosterone definitely goes up a lot when you go into 1 week into semen retention, and it builds and builds and builds and builds. And look, testosterone, it's not just what you think. It's not just for massive sex drive. It does build bones and muscle, really important, but way more than that, it builds your heart health, absolutely essential for heart health. And it's the reason why men get heart attacks, in my opinion. So many at 50s and 40s, they just have low testosterone. So from lack of semen retention, in my opinion, and stress too. But also it's your brain too. So people that get Alzheimer's dementia, you literally need a lot of testosterone to create new cells in your dendrites in memory. So people that are getting Alzheimer's dementia at 60, men, 40s and 50s, it's because they've been practicing their whole life, you know, just busting it up too much and not having ejaculation experiences, or just having sex too regularly. Or more than likely, most men, what they're doing is just, as teenage boys, they just never stopped watching porn, and they went through that phase, and fuck me, man.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. I appreciate that. Yes, I've looked into it, and it's an interesting thing, and I try and practice as much as possible. I don't watch porn anymore, and it's about that kind of, with regards to sacred sex with a partner. I think, like, for the sake of my partner, I won't go into too much detail, but bless you, this should kill me. One time though, this is just a little aside because me and you are having a conversation, but it was so powerful. One of the candles went, we were both just like, holy shit, what was that? So it is powerful. It is powerful. I know it's powerful. Like I said, I don't know a great deal about it. I will try and find someone who's got a lot more knowledge about it and get into it and break it down and kind of talk about it. But it's definitely something that needs to be kind of looked at. You know, the sports guys do it, don't they? The boxers and the fighters and all the rest of it, you know. And again, this is just more
stuff.
Misdirection with regards to the porn and all the rest of it, and also lack of knowledge of what it actually entails and what it can do for us. So excellent, Harry. I know it's coming up to your
ejaculations. I have been doing ejaculations lately, but I've not been doing them consciously. I've been doing them unconsciously because I do yoga, and because I've been like 20, 30 days, 40 days is pretty normal to me, and we're going to run, and I've just been doing them by accident. So there's hope to anyone watching. If you want to know how to do ejaculations, sometimes when you just hold your semen, it just happens anyway. How crazy is that? You don't even need to try. That's what I'm going to tell people. That's true.
Nice. I like that. That's a good one. And I will put a link to your YouTube channel in the description box so people can come over, and there's plenty of information on it, you know, some real good stuff. And they're all nice and bite sized. There's nothing, you know, I think we've been chatting for 90 minutes now, but it's a good 90 minutes, you know, and, you know, people can take their time and absorb it if they want to. So thank you, brother, for coming and sharing your time. I really do appreciate it. And is the sun out with you now for a bit of gazing?
Well, no, it's just 2 hours before sunset. I noticed the red lights kicking in.
Oh, right.
I'm such a fucking geek that I need to get out of the sun, in the cloud, under the clouds. I love it. So
yeah, it's quite grey up here. I don't even know if the sun's out, but yeah. But yes, you're an absolute gentleman, brother. Thank you very much again, and we'll continue this thread really soon, I hope.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you everyone for watching, and God bless and bro, and I'll come up to see you definitely sometime this year. So looking forward to it.
Soon as, brother. You're a gentleman. All right. Take care, brother. See you soon.
Yeah, cheers.